Hi guys, I hope you're doing well today. Let's talk about kettlebell swings. So in today's videos I want to show you how to perform kettlebell swings correctly and how to avoid the most common mistakes. So kettlebell swings is a very good exercise for cardiovascular and conditioning, but compared to our classic way of training, if we want to call it that way, it's not a controlled movement. So with any strength protocol we tend to have a very controlled concentric and eccentric motion, while with kettlebell swings is a more dynamic and a lot more relaxed in a way as a movement. So it means that yes, you do control the movement, but you also have to work with a bit more flexibility and allow your body to sort of follow that movement. So the first things to learn is the hinging from the hip, because with kettlebell swing we're not squatting into swing the kettlebell, but we're hinging, so we're using the power from the hip to be able to generate that explosive swing, that explosive movement. Let me show you. So what we want to start practicing is these movements. So hinging from the hip, creating that stretch on the hamstrings and engaging all the posterior chain. So we will probably see quite often these movements being performed from a squat position and then swinging it forward. So that's what we want to avoid. We don't want to squat into it, we want to hinge. Okay, so just imagine like your rib cage doesn't have to be flare up, and you want to keep the rib cage down. Your chin is neutral, so neck neutral, chin tucked in a way, and you want to hinge from the hip, feel the stretch in here, the kettlebell will be going back, and then you power through, snapping the hip forward to create that explosive movement. Now often when I first teach a kettlebell swing, I am using a band or something that I can put in between the legs and then teach the client to pull forward, because we don't want to use again your arms. It's not a front raise as such, so you don't want to really lift the kettlebell with your hands, and again it's all coming through the hips. So once you're familiar with this hinging position, we can then play around with the kettlebell. So let's start breaking it down from a foot position. So you want to have your feet shoulder or hip width apart, as long as you're comfortable into this position. So practice this hinging motion and just find your foot stance. If you've got hip width apart, you notice that the kettlebell, depending on the size of the kettlebell, might just get a bit in the way. So I personally recommend more of a shoulder width apart. Okay, second thing, we just want to make sure that your heels is always pressing down on the floor. So never go into your toes. You're going to sit back and all the weight is into the heels. Once you got that, again, that motion under control, then we want to start practicing the hips snapping. So hips comes through, and that's when I generate the power. So we don't want to control the kettlebell, but you want to allow the kettlebell to swing back and forward. Another good tip to get yourself set up with the kettlebell swings is, rather than having the kettlebell in front of you, you want to put it back there. There you go. So the kettlebell is quite far back from where your starting position is. That will force your body to lean back and reach for the kettlebell from behind you. So I want my shoulders to be here, but not round in my upper back. So I want to keep the shoulders tucked in. Yeah? And from here, again, I'm reaching back for the kettlebell, engaging the lats here, so keep a neutral back, and from here, get that swinging position. As you see, I'm not controlling the movement, I'm not lifting it with my arms, but I'm allowing allowing the hips to create power and explosive movement. Now breathing wise, let me stop a sec. So breathing wise, you want to try and control the breathing. I personally find it that breathing in as I'm loaded and exhale as I'm pushing and exploding through, it adds that little bit of power through the movement. So I'm going to perform it again one more time so you can get yourself more familiar with it as well. Heels on the ground. Oh yes, let's recap everything. Let's go feet shoulder width apart. Heels nice and planted on the ground. Hinge from the hip, soft on the knees. Shoulders back, engage your lats. Just practice these movements as well. Engage your lats. Reach back and down for the kettlebell. But make sure your position here is quite solid. Don't round your back. Don't slouch. Don't let your shoulders forward. So sit back, reach for the kettlebell. Take a deep breath in, brace your core. And power through. From the hips. See my shoulders are up, relaxed. And I'm just allowing this momentum to create a beautiful kettlebell swing. And this is it. So just perform this movement first. Just body weight, just get familiar with it. You can again attach a resistance band to a rack so you can practice this pulling movement and just get more confident or using the hips and having a nice and neutral back. Cool, so that's kettlebell swings for you guys. Keep practicing because it's a great movement to work for core and conditioning, good for the cardiovascular system, and we're gonna incorporate it a lot on the kettlebell strength exercises, conditioning exercises, and all sorts of kettlebell workout. Hope you enjoyed it, and please ask any questions.